Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm actually going over an online auction that I recently bid in. So this is our local auction. It went online for COVID. This is about 3 days before it goes up. This is done. We've already bid. I've already bought, and I'll tell you about that. There was a lot of tools in this auction. I like these types of auctions because you go to someone's house and do that versus where they are like at their own place. I feel like they go through it less at someone's house than they do at their own place. So again, a lot of this is, hey, let me get rid of my chemicals. There was a lot of tools. We did bid on a lot of tools, and we got 100% outbid on a lot of tools because some of them were International Harvester. What I found funny is there's a Canada Dry 12 pack, and it actually went for $7 in the end. There's also a car. The car got all the way up to 15,000, and it had a lot of miles on it. It had 90-some thousand miles on it. This, one of the ones that we just went by, and the reason I paused when I was scrolling through this is they had the reusable cups in one auction lot and their lids in another auction lot. I bid on both of the big shelves of dishes. I lost both of them. We ended up spending $130 some here. Most of the stuff we lost. I lost the Revere ware. It went for around $30 for the whole thing. Yes, these are great deals if you're going to use them yourselves. Not the best deals if you're going to resell them. This that I'm cutting in here, so Fiesta ware. There was a whole thing of the cinnamon roll, cinnamon burst Fiesta ware. The Cinnabon Fiesta ware, I guess is what it's called. There was a whole cabinet full of them. But I've been burned in this auction before, and I was worried that they weren't all Fiesta ware, and he advertised it as Fiesta ware, but they weren't Fiesta ware. So I stopped at $30. It got up to $120 for this thing of Fiesta ware. Granted, if it was real Fiesta ware, yes, they would make their money back. But I couldn't guarantee that it was real Fiesta ware. I had not looked at it. And again, I've been burned by this auction house before. So $30 was really all I was willing to lose on that. There's a couple things that should have went high. And again, a whole cabinet of chemicals. You know how hard it is to get rid of those chemicals? You're basically taking out the trash for this person. I didn't bid on any of these single items. There were some Pew Pews in this lot. I did not bid on them, and I'm not sure if they come up in this or not. I did bid on the vintage powder box. I did not get that. So it says the Wolf Original. It's a walrus. It took me forever because I was like, that is not a wolf. It's a walrus. There are a lot of figurines here. This person worked for International Harvester. If you're aware of International Harvester, those tools go very, very high. This Waterbury clock went also very high. It's already at $230 with almost 3 days left. However, this grandfather clock went for $50. I could take this grandfather clock apart and sell its pieces for a lot more than that. I would not sell the entire grandfather clock, but I felt bad because it was a working grandfather clock. I didn't want to destroy it. That being said, the person that bid on it probably did destroy it, but I didn't want to destroy it. So I didn't bid on it. The only way we would make money from it is if we did take it apart. And I just kind of felt bad doing that. So I didn't. It's also, I can't believe it only went for $50. There was a socket set of International tools that went for $300, and this grandfather clock went for $50. And that is where you get with these auctions. They're hit and miss. They're, what you think will go high doesn't go high. What you don't think will go high goes high. I did buy several lots, but most of the lots we bought we didn't know what was in them. we did fill our car for $137, and I want to say 42 of that was fees. So, yeah. But again, if you find a non-working grandfather clock, a big grandfather clock, pick it up. The faces sell, the, cranks and handles, the little gong things, and I know I'm offending all of the grandfather clock people out there, but they do sell. The pieces sell. So if it was a non-working clock, I actually would have been more willing to buy it, but because it was working, I didn't feel ethically okay buying it. So, but again, if I found a non-working one, I would buy it and take it apart. And I think that's one of these things that we do get with thrifting, that it's like, oh, that's crazy. I learned how to take apart a grandfather clock. Or I learned that this piece is very important, or people lose this piece all the time. I will also point out there that a lot of replicas are around. So I think if I did find a grandfather clock and I did rip it apart, I would have to almost show me doing it. Have like a video of me taking it apart or something to prove that it was legit pieces from that grandfather clock. But I don't know. I was just very interested to see how high this would go. There's also going to be a cuckoo clock later. This person had a lot of awesome clocks. There'll be a cuckoo clock later, and that cuckoo clock, I'm so glad I didn't bid on it. So, okay, cuckoo clocks go great. They go very, very high. Very expensive, especially a cuckoo clock like this one. But when I saw the cuckoo clock, because it had already been bid on, I had got there relatively early in the day, and I was seeing all the lots that were there. When I saw the cuckoo clock, I had been so upset. So these movies, I ended up getting them for $10. They are 16 millimeter, and there's roughly 12 of them, and they are all between 1940 and 1945. The lot will sell for around $100 when I list it. I need to go through and make sure that there's no mold in it, because if there's mold in it, they will not sell. But I'm hoping there's no mold. I just haven't had time to go through it yet. It's been about a week and a half since we picked up our lots from this. I don't think I bid on any of these lots. With this, yes, we're almost 3 days away from this auction here. It really doesn't get a lot of traffic until right before the auction. There was a lot of live bidding on this auction. So when it gets to the last 5 minutes, people start going and live bidding on it. There was a lot of live bidding on this auction. Way more than I expected, way more than I've experienced in an online auction from this particular auction year in a very long time. So I don't know what about this. I mean, I do know it was the International Harvester Tools. That's 100% what was going on. So the Murano glass, it is worth something. I did not want to ship that, but I wanted to show you guys that the Murano glass is worth something. It was a decanter with 6 glasses. Easily probably $100 for it. Again, I saw this when I was picking up my lot. It is incredibly delicate. I would be so terrified to ship this. It would be a moneymaker, but so terrified to ship this. I want to say it went for around $40. It was gorgeous, but so fragile. It's so fragile, I wouldn't even have had it in my house fragile. I'm not sure if I told you guys this, but we have a cat, and I had a big random box of vintage Christmas light bulbs, the big ones, and he knocked it off our eBay shelf and shattered all the bulbs. So I would be terrified to have this in my house. Now, also to point out with this, the Murano figurines do go too, but not as well as these decanter sets. The decanter sets, specifically red, tend to go very well. The blue, iffy. The green, not so much, but the red tends to do very well. I don't know if the red was probably the most popular. It kind of reminds me of like I Dream of Jeannie stuff. The show I Dream of Jeannie. These... Also, one of the things about this auction house that drives me crazy is they put blue painter's tape with the lot number on all the lots. And sometimes I'm like, don't put the painter's tape on that because it can take paint off. It's hard to get off. especially when they are out in the weather a lot, in the heat. Sorry if you hear the motor running. My cat is sitting on my lap and he's purring. So yeah, sometimes it's very hard to get that painter's tape off, so I don't particularly care for the painter's tape. I know, like, I wish he could put it on a card or something besides the painter's tape. This couch was so cool, and it went for under $20. I have absolutely no use for this couch, but if I did, went for under $20. I did buy this lot of playing cards, and it got up to $12.50. It is a pretty decent sized tub full of playing cards. I didn't realize that none of them are in their boxes. They're just all kind of strewn around in the tub, so I needed to go through and fix that. Again, a lot of figurines and stuff. So they had some Bellic glass. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. This can be worth something. They did not have the ones that looked like wicker baskets. That is worth more. They had the smooth ones, and those aren't worth as much. So if you find this and it's the wicker basket weave on it, that would be a no-brainer to get. But this was the smooth, which is the newer one, and that's not worth as much as this one that's $45. It has a wicker basket weave on it. So again, wicker basket weave, that's great. That's probably not what the official design is. I am not, despite having an eBay YouTube channel, I am not the person to tell you what the design on it is, but this is worth looking at. They did have a couple sets in that lot of this, but they called it all this lot. It is 100% not all this lot. The salt and pepper shakers that have shamrocks on them are not these. So they just found salt and pepper shakers with shamrocks on them. Again, that's stuff this auctioneer has pulled before, so I am very leery to trust him in the amount of money I spend on this. Granted, sometimes I get amazing deals. That's great. But sometimes I get burned. So that really affects how I bid on this because it's sight unseen. Larger things, they do offer viewings. So the car they offered viewings for, you could go and look at the car. And they will do that with larger items, vehicles, lawnmowers, stuff like that. You can go and look at before the auction is up. They usually have like a specific time, like between noon and 2 on Tuesday. You can come and view this item before you bid on it. That is very common, but they don't do it for like household everyday items, again, unless they're big ticket items. And a car is obviously a big ticket item. We are currently looking for a car for a 16-year-old, but I could not pay cash for a car. And that's what you had to not secure it with a credit card. You had to pay cash for it. Don't have $15,000 cash laying around. Boy, do I wish I did, but I don't. So that cost, that would get a lot of people out of it. Also, for all of their metal here, because right now as I'm making this video, silver and gold are going up in prices, silver more than gold. All of their metal items, they also had, you can only pay cash for. So you couldn't pay for them with your credit card. You had to pay for them physically there with cash, or they weren't releasing them to you. I don't know if they're worried about chargebacks on credit cards, but that was their rule for this auction. I'd not seen that rule before. Yes, I've seen the cash for the large items before. That is, yeah. Not surprised by that. They usually give you up to a week after you win the auction to pay for the large item with cash. So if you have to go get a loan or something, but I'd not seen it for the smaller household items. I did not bid on any of these jewelry trays. Maybe if I would have seen them in person, I might bid. And if they went low enough, I might bid. But I did not bid on all of them. Looking at the other stuff when I was there, a lot of the, what we'd quote unquote say was plastic, I would probably say was Bakelite with how old this was. The pocket watches started going very high at the end, like over $100. I do not know pocket watch brand. I am terrified to sell jewelry honestly online. I don't want someone to come back at me and say it's fake. But for anything that was labeled silver or gold, you had to pay cash for up front. You could not put it on your credit card, where the site they use, you have to pay with credit card. I don't know how that worked out. Like, I don't know if they didn't charge you for those lots, because as soon as the auction's over, it automatically charges your credit card. You don't have a option. And to get an account to bid on it's HiBid. If anyone's dealt with HiBid before, to be able to bid on HiBid, you have to have a credit card, and they bid on the credit card. Okay, I just rolled right past it. I'm sorry. There was a projector and a box next to it with a carousel on it. I bid on that thing, hoping that they had slides in the box, because they were selling 16 millimeter film, which was back at the beginning. I betted on it. I spent a whole $2 on it, took that bet, and there were slides. So I have several boxes of slides now to go through, and that is the best way for me to get things. When they singly go through things, I tend not to get them because they have already been through them. These type house estate sales are better when going through that. They did sell a lot of quilts, and the quilts went high. Even this quilt that says rough, it went pretty high. It went for almost $100, and all the other completed quilts that were better quality went over $100. The bed set had no bids on it at the end. Nobody wanted the beds. And honestly, if they would have sold the frames without the mattresses, I bet they would have got bids on them. But because they had the mattresses, and in our area, you have to pay $50 per item to get rid of, and those would be 2 items, so you'd have to pay $100 to get rid of those mattresses. If you wanted the bed frames, that is why no one bid on it. Then they sell, contents of shelves. They'll sell a shelf at a time. Sometimes they'll sell entire closets. I've been to auctions for this person before, in which I've bought an entire closet of things. We did end up buying this shelf, the lot 471, which has towels, sanitary pads, but on the end it has a multi-disc CD player, and that is what we wanted, and it's a 16-disc CD player. So we wanted that. That's what we bet on. We didn't really want the other stuff in there. I've been at auctions / almost kicked out of auctions before, because I've talked to people that I've been bidding against, and I was like, what do you want in here? Because a lot of times we don't want the same things. I'm assuming I went up against somebody on that. I wanted the CD player, and they probably wanted the towels, because for some reason towels are hot commodities at these auctions. I have no idea why. Estate sales too, like estate sale auctions, people will bid up towels. No idea why. So in an in-person auction, and again, I've gotten in trouble for this, and when the one where I got in trouble, we were bidding on entire rooms, and me and another guy were going back and forth on this room, and I was like, what do you want out of this room? And he's like, I want all the bookcases. I'm like, great, I don't want the bookcases. So I was like, if you stop bidding now, you can have the bookcases. And he stopped bidding. I got it for lower than I wanted, like lower than I expected to pay for it, and he got the bookcases out of there. I wanted something that was completely different from that room, and I honestly had no way to get rid of the bookcases. So if you've ever done this type before, I probably would have offered the bookcases to somebody there, been like, hey, do you want these bookcases? I had no way of even getting the bookcases home. But that's a no-no at auctions. Don't do that. And if an auctioneer knows you're doing that, they have the right to kick you out. They have the right to make your bids non-valid. So again, that's a no-no. Don't do that. I bought this shelf too. That was right up there with the plates on it. Only 2 of the plates are worth selling, and they're Linux Christmas plates. The other ones are just like Dollar Tree or whatever. They will go in the rummage sale that we plan to have. My husband bought this VHS, etc. paper plates, blah, blah, blah. He got it for the VHS. We haven't even looked through it yet, but the paper plates are working quite well because we have a cat, and I put his soft food on paper plates. So I don't think I've bought paper plates in probably 2 years, because we keep randomly getting them in auction lots. Even if I wouldn't eat off of it, it's fine for him to eat off of it, so the cat will eat off their paper plates. Let's see. We bought other things. I went through once, and then my husband goes through once, and we kind of throw dollar bids on things that we're interested in, but we don't want to go over because it saves your bids that you've bid on. I can go back and look at those bids while the auction goes. But if I don't, it's a whole nother thing, so we usually will throw $1 on something. We didn't buy any furniture, like I've said in the past couple of videos. We're looking for a dining room table. We have not found a dining room table at any of these that we like yet, but we are looking for one. I'm obviously not logged into our account while I'm going through this because I don't want you guys to know that about us. I did bid on these pictures, vintage pictures, but they're really not worth that much, so I would not have gone over $10. This GE radio, also not worth that much. Flat of office supplies, I want to say my husband threw a couple dollars on that, but we didn't win it. We threw a couple dollars on the bag of hats because, again, this person worked for International Harvester, so I was kind of hoping there was some International Harvester hats in there, but obviously we didn't get it. It went very, very high for what we'd expect hats to go for. Again, furniture, rugs. The rugs were nice. They were probably expensive when they bought them. So this oval galvanized tub, I thought it was like a big tub. It is tiny. It's like the size of a shoebox. If I would have bid on that, I would have been so pissed that I got this like thing that's the size of a shoebox when they photographed it and they made it look much, much larger. And that's the same with the cuckoo clock when it comes up. They made it look so much larger in the pictures. And when you saw it, it was so tiny. I would have been so upset. It was so, so tiny. I was looking at the yearbook there, University of Illinois. This Smith Corona typewriter can go decent. I'm not shipping it. It's not worth a sale for me. I'm not going to be able to sell it locally. These Santas, you might have been able to get a couple bucks for them. Again, not worth the sale locally. They would have sat for a while. There was vintage staplers and vintage like receipt books that could have went okay, but they also went very high. This in the corner here, it's trays, dishes, and trophies. We did get this, and we got it for $1. The interesting part, the most interesting part in that entire lot, yes, there are playing cards, and you know me and playing cards, but the most interesting thing in the entire lot is one of the trophies is a businessman carrying a briefcase, and it's for International Harvester, and it's actually metal, so that is decent. If you find trophies that are actually metal, they are worth money. They are old trophies. The JD Power, international clock, it's kind of like the anniversary clock. They're at every sale. The pin sets, I didn't even look up. International Harvester Truck Group Lucite paperweights. They go okay, but not as much as the tools do. I was hoping it would come up. I hope we didn't already miss the cuckoo clock. It was just so tiny. And they were selling it for so much more than what I expected. There were a lot of oil lamps there. There were a lot of lots that were outside in the rain. One of the lots we got was a bucket of tools. And if we show it, I'll show you. There's the pew-pews. One of the lots was a bucket of tools, and it was left outside, and there was water in the bucket. And it was probably about 2 inches of water in the bucket of the tools. And the guy joked, the auctioneer, he's there. It's family run. He was there when we were picking up. And he was like, ha ha ha, you get that water for free. I'm like, yay, I get stagnant cold water. And it was maybe 40 degrees that day. It's like, I get stagnant cold water for free. Yay. Pennies. Get a bunch of pennies. That went high because apparently people are freaking out that we're not going to have pennies anymore. I haven't quite jumped on that bandwagon yet. Maybe I will, but not my bag. Now we're going to the outside. The spray cans, I put something on because we actually use those. A lot of the outside stuff was just so, I wouldn't say damaged. It was just so used and not taken care of. We bought this box of tools. Again, out in the rain. It's a cardboard box. Not the best ideal scenario. We bought it to go through because they had so much International Harvester tools. These were like bits and bobs. I was hoping, to find a couple sockets that are maybe International Harvester. I almost said ratchets. Sockets that were International Harvester to go along with that. So one of the socket sets went very, very high. And it had like extras in it that weren't part of that socket set. There was a lot of power tools there. We ended up getting a bucket of tools too, and I haven't seen it yet. It's a white bucket. So if you guys see it, we got a white bucket of tools that had water in it, but the water was free. And like a lot of these, you can even see the snow on the ground in the picture, so I should have known that they were outside. I did look up a lot of these, like the vintage tools. Not a lot. International Harvester, yes. Other tools, not so much. Those chisels do go very high. They ended up going for like $70. So I don't know if they're like good chisels or if just all chisels go for $70. There's also a lot of wood boards. This was already taken by the time I got there, so I didn't get to look at the wood boards. But with the price of wood right now, that was probably a really good deal. So it says a stack of lumber. That ended up going for about $100. And the other lumber went for like 40-ish. So again, that's probably a good deal. But I just had no way to move it. We could use it right now. There are some home repair stuff that we could use it for, but it wasn't worth it for us. We'd have to rent a car to get it. So rent a truck to get it. So it just wasn't worth it for us to do that there. Okay, this is it. Again, this is a BB Pew, so that's not as bad. We did end up spending around $137, probably round up to $138 here. I have not listed anything on there. I have a whole bucket of random cards that I thought were in their boxes, but they're not, to go through and have to make sure each individual deck has all the cards, and if it's missing like the jokers, I need to say it's missing the jokers. So that is an ordeal. But I kind of wanted to show you like what the online auction looks like for us that we've been doing. I just did our taxes, and a majority of our inventory has come from online auctions this past year. And I think a lot of it has to do with we just didn't have time to go make a thrift trip. We have not made a trip to the bins in over a year because we just are so swamped with kid stuff. We've been using almost a majority of our, I would probably say 7/8 of our sourcing has been from these online auctions. So we've been basically doing only hard goods. These auctions, like you saw here, they don't have a lot of soft goods or clothing, and if they do, they're usually like blankets and stuff, which is great. Blankets and towels. I can sell vintage blankets well. New blankets don't sell as well. But this is where we are, where it comes to with what we're sourcing with, at least right now. We just finished this auction here, and that finished, I want to say February 24th. And that was our first sourcing of this year. So our first sourcing of this year was February 24th at this auction. If you guys like these, I might do more of them. I obviously won't release until we are done with the auction because I don't need to create competition for myself. But thank you for watching my video. Please like and subscribe and have a productive day.